Bullshit. Right, okay. Let's get into this, right? Destiny, right? Let's get into this and let's state it like this, right? 2008, right? I was experiencing, things like synchronicity, like real events. Yeah, real in the physical. Yeah. Precognition, all those kind of things, right? And then all these occurrences lead me to, get involved with someone, right? He was claiming to be coming over here to the United Kingdom, and somewhere very locally to me, which is Liverpool. Um, and in doing so, right, supposedly she was at this train station, and I kind of turn up, and oh, she's not there, right? And no, it's all things kind of strange, right? So I kind of book into this hotel or in between all these things anyway, right? Because yeah, she kind of got lost and everything. She goes and stands by this big purple thing, right? Uh-huh. But that in mind purple. And then I couldn't find her anyway. I couldn't see her, so I go and stand where it's closer to the train station, which is the Crown Hotel, which is predominantly red. Okay, so they got red and purple. Okay, pay attention. Yeah. Well, anyway, I go and stop at this hotel, and then, she can't be there for like for a couple of days. The scenario takes place, and then, oh, she turns up on the Sunday because I was initially there on the Friday. She turns up on the Sunday, and oh, she's in the same place at the same time, but oh, we can't see each other, right? Okay, so I'm just like, yeah, kind of go along. And when I'm asleep in that room, it's like she's there, and then when I wake up, she's not. And I'm gonna go to sleep, she is, and then I wake up, she's not. Uh, well, anyway, the kind of, you know, it's like, oh, we're on different dimensions, and I had so many things just fall into place beyond chance, and it was impossible, by chance that these things would occur. That obviously, I'm gonna pay attention. I'm gonna follow what rings true. Um, which I did do, and you'll see what it brought. So anyway, this like kind of over a 2 year period, my path took place. And in between all this, I actually followed lightning for 90 miles. Yeah, which took me on a journey of my life. And the very last flash brought me back exactly where I began. Yeah, you done that. You done that. Because I have. I have done that. Right? And so many mind blowing experiences while I'm being guided by the invisible, which is what I'm invisible. It made me follow the invisible, right? Yeah, devil's plans ain't too fucking clever, baby. Right? So it gets me to follow the invisible. Okay, and then I'm walking this path, and all that's revealing to me is that everything is falling into place, and it includes past events and present and everything falling into place with perfect timing, right? Okay, so it does all of that, and so basically I've been following the invisible to the knowledge of my predestined life. Okay, right. Well, I've always kind of rejected the Bible, or did always kind of reject the Bible because I know all about the New World Order. I know about the Vatican and how hypocritical they are. I know about all the paganism that they throw over it. What's meant to be the story of Christ. They throw all this paganism all over it. They obviously don't practice what they preach. And I kind of looked at it as like, they've made Jesus, which was like, similar story to Horus. I'm like, they've taken the story of like the sun, and which was allegorical, and they've made it into something which appears literal. And in doing so, what they're using that for is to kind of blind the people, kind of use like Jesus as like a cruel hoax, as if this is your savior, and basically there isn't one, but that's kind of manipulating you. So that was my view. Okay, but when you start, realizing everything's just falling into place like it is, right? All that shows is like revelation. In between all this, I've kind of been guided to A Course in Miracles, which was supposedly channeled through Jesus of Nazareth, right? But when I joined the site and I'm kind of debating people on it, it's like, yeah, because I want to share my story because I can kind of prove stuff. It's like, oh, that's the story of the ego, and oh, Jesus didn't really exist, and oh, the message of the crucifixion is something totally different than what's in the Bible, right? Yeah, I just kind of caught them all up in their own lies, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not very impressed by this, but I can see the potential of, Jesus being literal. So I got round to reading the Bible. And in doing so, I never intended to, or never thought I would, like, kind of look at it and think, oh, I'm going to look at this and think it's totally literal. I'm just kind of reading just out of interest, to see what's what. So anyway, is Jesus walking his predestined life, everything falling into place, perfect timing, right? And yeah, I can totally comprehend what that's like while all these people are kind of coming against them and saying, "Oh, you cast out demons because Beelzebub gives you the authority or the power." And Jesus is turning around to them and he's like, if I was from the devil, why would the devil cast out the devil? And if that was the case, then, you know, his kingdom would fall to pieces by itself, which is totally logical. But obviously, there's that wickedness in the world which will state such ridiculous things. The same as what led to his death. Yeah. Nobody of God will put Jesus to his death, right? Okay. So, yeah, I could totally, see this being the case. And I'm like, wow. Yeah. It's the foreknowledge of God. And then I read in the book of Romans how, from the beginning of time, yeah, God's invisible quality, his divine nature. Remember that divine nature, his divine nature was set apart from the world so that man would be without excuse. And then further in the book of Romans, it talks about how those God foreknew, he predestined to be conformed to the likeness of his son so that Jesus would be the first among many brothers, right? And those he predestined, he justified, right? So I follow this path. Um, Following the invisible to the knowledge of my predestined life, it checks out in the Bible, but it goes deeper because in 2007 I've made, rap music since a young age, since I was about 17. I'm now 28. And yeah, in about 2007, decided to give myself a name which kind of, symbolized, my most spiritual white side. So I gave myself the name DNA to stand for Divine Natural Ability, and this would represent that my DNA, or rather my divine natural ability, is in my DNA. My God given talent is in my DNA. Okay, but noticing that too many people had the name DNA, I thought I'd incorporate my initials of AJ and make it Divine Natural Ability Justified. And then I go and walk a path guided by the invisible to the knowledge of my predestined life. So you've got divine natural ability, justified, invisible quality, divine nature, predestined path, justified. Baby, okay? You getting it? Right. So, anyway, all this deception has kind of led to this. So let me go and, yeah, let's go and look at this book which I'm writing, right? Which people are asking for my manuscript for. Yeah, because it is good, it is true, and I've said to them, yeah, I've said to them, as if it sounds too good to be true, as for the evidence, I'm more than happy to provide it. Okay, sorry, this light is shining in my face from this camera, so yeah, I'm squinting a bit. But there you go. That's not important. What's important is this. On 10-10-10, I was online looking for someone locally who could give me a past life regression. The reason that I felt compelled to do so is because Veronica's split personalities, because yeah, all the all that bullshit that falls into this shit. Forgive my language, please. Um, Okay, Veronica's split personalities were giving me enough cause for concern that I felt it would be to my benefit to get some insight into our past life together that her predominant split claimed that we had shared. The path that I had walked had been essentially guided on Veronica's part due to deception, and that did not sit comfortably with me at all. I found a lady who was looking for people to regress and had her own website dedicated to Soul Astrology. Let me just correct that typo. Okay. On her website was a postcode. I did a Google search of it to find out her location. I found that it was for a street called Balmoral. This was interesting as when I was a child, I was always on that same street as three of my best friends used to live there. Okay, and what I've shown there is a picture of her website showing her address, and then also I've done a Google search of the street, which shows the postcode in both of them and shows that that is completely true. Okay, pay attention. Also, I noticed her surname. In doing so, I sent her a further email beyond my initial inquiry and stated that if she knew someone called Andy, which is my name as well, baby, then tonight had taken on a big significance. She replied to this by writing, "How do you know Andy?" Well, Andy was in the same year as me when I was in high school. The last time I saw him was in 2002, October or November, and was the first night I met my ex-girlfriend, Sue. On that night, she was talking to him and explained to me that she had known him for a number of years. Coincidentally, Sue's birthday was, or is, on the 10th of October, 1010. And here I was on 10-10-10 with all these things falling into place. Strange, the story hasn't even begun. Okay. At the same time, Veronica and the people she was staying with had to move house. She told me that they had found a place in Beulah, Alabama. They didn't have the money, so I broke myself and sent all that I could to cover the costs. The fact it was in a place called Beulah was very significant. At that time, I was regularly working with an African lady called Beulah, who was an agency member of staff where I work, and as I've shown, the